tires aren't great in the sand. Oh my God.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Alex here with TFL Bike. I'm here in California with the all-new 2023 Honda XR150L. Super affordable dual sport that Honda just came out with this year. And today we're gonna get it out on the road, get it out on some dirt trails, and see what this new affordable bike is all about. I'm really excited. Love small displacement bikes, love affordable bikes. This should be pretty fun. Let's jump right into it.
And we are off on the XR150L here in Solvang, California. This is a cool, cute little town, and I think it matches this bike pretty perfectly. Let me tell you the price of this bike right away, because that's the most impressive fact about this bike right here. MSRP is $2,971. Under $3,000 for a brand new street legal dual sport that can carry two people from Honda. So how are they able to make this bike so cheap? The answer is it's been around a really long time. This is actually the 20th anniversary of this bike. It's the first year it's available here in the US, but since 2003, this bike has been extremely popular in Thailand and Latin America and other parts of the world. And it didn't cost that much money for Honda to just change the tuning a little bit, make it meet US regulations. They paid for the tooling for this bike a long time ago, so it made sense that they could bring such a low-cost model here. They did the same thing with the Navi. Now, if you've been watching TFL Bike for a long time, you might remember the Hawk DLX, the Amazon bike that we did some videos with, and it was a total piece of crap. And this looks very similar to that bike. The Hawk DLX is basically a clone of this XR150L. And even just in the first couple minutes of riding this, I can tell you right away, they feel completely differently. We gave that bike so much crap, and while this might look similar, this engine especially, and the entire package, definitely feels like a Honda. Now this is powered by a 149cc air-cooled single-cylinder engine, and it's carbureted, not even fuel injected, which again is another way Honda's able to keep the price so low on this bike. So in terms of cost and displacement, this would be an epic beginner bike, depending on where you live. That little town we were just driving through, perfect for a bike like this. Little winding road like this, tight twisties, again, perfect for a bike like this. If you live in LA though, and you're commuting on the 405 every day, you might want a little more power as a beginner. Even this road though, decent amount of hills and elevation change, and this little 149cc motor is pulling its way through these hills no problem. This has a 5-speed transmission, and yeah, it's not going to blow you away in terms of performance, but that's not at all what this bike is about. And I don't think it's just for beginners either. I think there's a lot of experienced riders out there that would love an affordable dual sport that they can throw riders of really any skill level on. Like, this would be an epic bike up at Tumbleweed Ranch. If you had a few of these sitting in the garage, you could get a bunch of friends together, everyone could hop on the same bike and really go have a time out in the woods. So yeah, it'd make for a great property bike, a good camping bike. This also would have been perfect for me when I was in college in Boulder. For doing stuff like this, just kind of putting around town, this bike is pretty perfect. Weighs 282 pounds, so it's super lightweight. 32.8-inch seat height, so it is still a dual sport. You know, there's plenty of bikes out there with lower seats, but this is kind of a mix between a low seat and still giving you enough ground clearance to get off-road. And we will get off-road in just a second. But yeah, I wouldn't want to take this, you know, on a highway between Boulder and Denver in Colorado, but, you know, short stints on some higher speed roads, this does just fine. And especially around town doing like 20-30 miles an hour, it's absolutely perfect.
right, let's take a look at some of the components on this bike, and we'll start up front with the forks. Very small 31 millimeter standard fork, which is to be expected from a budget motorcycle like this. You do get 7.1 inches of travel out of the front suspension, and then the rear shock back here is adjustable for preload. That's it though, and that'll give you 5.9 inches of travel. Ground clearance is 9.6 inches. I don't think I touched the bottom of the frame anywhere on this ride, but you can get a skid plate for under there if you want some more protection. And then looking at the brakes, we have a 220 millimeter disc up front, single-sided disc, and then a drum in the rear. So again, cost savings with some of the parts they're putting on this, but I don't expect a $3,000 motorcycle to have disc brakes in the rear. So yeah, I think that's totally fine. Stopping power is good enough for what this bike is. I did bottom out the forks a couple times off-road, so it's showing that it is, you know, a budget dual sport, but still plenty capable. And for, you know, mobbing around a property like this, I think this bike is pretty perfect. You don't need a 450 or, you know, even a 300L or something to go ride around your property. It's overkill most of the time. Instead, you could get a few of these, throw your whole family on them, a bunch of friends, and the fun factor is just gonna go up. The tank here holds 2.8 gallons. It is a keyed tank, and range is probably gonna be pretty good on this. It's only a 150cc bike, basically. So you're gonna be sipping fuel, and this should go pretty far on a single tank of fuel. I don't really have a way to test that or get a range estimate today, but it should be pretty good. Case and I have done a number of other videos on Honda's other products, and most of the time in a small displacement bike like this, they just completely sip fuel and you can go really far. Tire sizes, we've got a 19-inch wheel up front, 17 in the rear, so pretty common size. So if you wanted to throw some more capable tires on it, you definitely could. These tires are really good on the road, but they're definitely road biased. That's like a 90% road tire, 10% dirt. So if this lived on a property like this full time, I would definitely replace the tires. I'd recommend doing that. But yeah, you've also got a little luggage rack on the back. It doesn't hold a whole lot. They say 11 pounds, but you could strap a bag to this and, you know, throw a bungee cord over it or something. And also something really cool is you have passenger pegs, and both the rider pegs and the passenger pegs have some pretty spongy dampers on them, so it doesn't vibrate your feet too much. This being a single cylinder, you tend to get some vibrations, but really cool that a bike this affordable you can throw a passenger on and yeah, have two people ride around town. If we look here, you've got the fuel control, because this is carbureted, and then that lever right there is for your choke. So obviously being carbureted, you sometimes need to pull the choke to start it up when it's cold. Lighting's all pretty basic, as you would expect on a budget bike like this. So we have old school halogen lighting. I normally complain when things aren't LED, but I'm not going to on this bike because that would only drive the price up. And then really simple dash. You can see I just turned the key and it didn't look like anything happened here because nothing did happen here. You have a speedometer with a little bit of a carbon fiber backdrop on it. Then you've got a odometer, a little trip computer, which you reset with this knob right here, and then a couple dummy lights. You have your turn signal, high beam, and your neutral light as well. But that's it. That's all the tech on this bike. No ABS, no riding modes, nothing like that. This is as dirt simple as it gets, and that makes sense. This bike's been around for 20 years, so it's using 20-year-old technology. We just got it here in the States, but this bike's been around a long time. So yeah, it's no surprise that there's some ancient-looking technology on it.
All right, we've got a big hill coming up here. This bike makes about 12 horsepower. So I'm gonna give it everything we got. Full twist of the throttle. See how it climbs this hill. Fourth gear right now. Doing about 53 miles an hour. 52, 51. Slowing down a little bit. Downshift. Nope. It didn't want to be downshifted. It is really pretty up here, and that's one of the nice parts about a slow bike. You could rev the bike out, really have it screaming, push the limits of the bike, and you're still not going all that fast. so you can really look around and enjoy the scenery around you. This is also a really comfortable bike. I could last a long time on this. The seat is super plush, and it's even got a little bump in the back of it that kind of hugs your butt if you scoot back a little bit. It's a really comfortable seat, and the suspension's nice and soft. You sit pretty upright. Nice wide bars. This road is getting a little tighter, and it's pretty fun to push this bike around some of these corners. Dual sports like this are really fun to ride on twisty roads. Alright, I'm on the highway now, and granted not a very busy highway, and I'm going downhill. Let's see what I can get it up to on this hill. 75, close to 75. I think that's all we got, like 70, 74, 73 or 74 seems to be the top speed. It will do highway speeds on a lot of highways, but I'm full pin right now and I have nothing left. So if I'm in a situation where I need some passing power, I don't have it at all. So I wouldn't want to do this all the time, but if your only option to get where you need to go is to hop on the freeway for a couple exits, you could definitely do it. I do love how optimistic Honda is with the speedometer that goes up to 90 miles an hour. You're never getting up to 90 on this bike. And now we're back to a 45 mile an hour speed limit, where this bike is a lot happier. Also, in terms of size, in case you're having a hard time kind of picturing how big this bike is on camera, it's a full-size motorcycle. Yes, it's a 149cc motorcycle, which is not that much more displacement than the Honda Monkey I have, but this is a proper size bike. 19-inch front wheel, 17-inch rear wheel. You walk up to this thing and yeah, it doesn't seem like a miniature bike, and to most people who aren't super into motorcycles, they wouldn't even know that this is a very low power beginner bike walking up to it. Just looks like a normal dual sport, unless you know what you're looking for. Oh, tires aren't great in the sand. Oh my god. Handle's awesome in this like kind of loose dirt grassy area, but over the real loose sand, these tires are not great. That's easy enough to fix though if you're doing a lot of sand riding. Man, now we have a chance to get this bike out on a little bit of a trail, which is where it really belongs. Yes, it's a great putt around town bike, but this is where this bike is really at home, on a ranch or on a property, doing some mild off-roading like this. And it's pretty perfect for terrain like this. I am not an expert off-road rider. In fact, it's the area of riding that I am least comfortable in, being on the dirt. And this bike makes it really enjoyable and not intimidating to really work on your skills. This bike's a little bit hard to stand up on. You'd probably want to put some bar risers on it if you were doing a lot of off-roading, because it is a little bit of a reach down to the bars. The power level is just perfect for exploring little back roads like this, especially if you have a farm or a ranch like we do, Tumbleweed Ranch. This is a great little farm property bike. And it still rides like a real motorcycle. I've got a little CRF 110 that Honda also makes, which is really a kid's trail bike, but it's, I think, equally as fun on stuff like this. But the problem with that bike is it doesn't have a clutch. It's a semi-automatic, so you don't ride it like you ride a full-size dirt bike, and this you do. So all the skills you pick up on this are going to transfer right over to whatever bigger displacement bike you decide to pick up after this. Oh my god, that sand is so terrifying. Trying to stay loose on the controls. Clearly, I am much more comfortable on asphalt than I am on dirt. But that's what this bike is all about, is for people who maybe don't really know what they're doing on dirt. All right, let's venture back into this harder trail. The one we were just on was kind of medium in skill. This one's apparently got some steeper hill climbs and whatnot. But I was told the dirt isn't quite as loose up this area. Handling this stuff like a champ. And look at this view up here. Oh my god. Yeah, here's where I wish the bars came up a little higher. I'm really bending over and reaching to get to the bars, but I do want to stand up on this downhill section, and back uphill we go. Man, this is so much fun. I love small displacement bikes because no matter what kind of riding you're doing, it is just so not intimidating. So you can really have a blast. And even if you are a pretty experienced rider, whew, look at those guys. Even if you are a pretty experienced rider, like the guys from Honda in front of me, you can really wring this bike out and have a hell of a time. So if you're like me and you're just trying to stay on two wheels, small power is great. But if you really know what you're doing, you can really push the bike pretty hard and ride it closer to 100% versus on a true, you know, motocross capable dirt bike. Why don't I own a dirt bike? This makes me want to get one. We have so many good trails in Colorado and the ranch. I think I need a dirt bike.
Well, there you have it, the all-new 2023 Honda XR150L. I really enjoyed this bike, and that's no surprise for me. I love small displacement bikes, and we need more affordable motorcycles. So many bikes that are coming out now, they're all electric, they start at 10 grand, and that's not a good way to get people into riding. So yeah, there's always a space for an affordable bike like this. Especially, you know, you could pick up a couple of these for the price of some other dual sports out there. And that's really how you're going to enjoy this bike, is getting on it with friends, going out and riding. And yeah, I think it's super versatile. You can use it as a farm bike, a camp bike, a ranch bike. If you're in college or live in a city like Boulder, you can use it to get around town, do your grocery shopping. You can teach people how to ride on it that have never been on a motorcycle before. So whether it's your first bike or you've already got 6 bikes in your garage, I think there's a space for this for a lot of different people, and I think Honda did a really good job. Really, you just can't complain about a brand new dual sport from Honda that comes in MSRP under $3,000. And I know a bunch of you are gonna say in the comments, but you'll never get it for $3,000 because every dealer is gonna charge, you know, destination and freight and tax and all that. And yes, that's true, but that's the same thing with every other motorcycle on the market. So I never really understood that argument, because if you go buy a $10,000 bike, it's also gonna have a bunch of fees and taxes and all that stuff piled on top of it. So MSRP under $3,000, and I think that is super rad. Thanks for watching. Check out alltfl.com. Catch you in the next video.